I'm Mike, owner of the In-Group in Phoenix, Arizona. So we're finally done with Record Store Day, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. And yeah, it was a crazy process. We hired a bunch of guys to kind of help fill in the void, getting stuff shipped out. Had to fire some guys. That was a marathon. But right when Record Store Day is technically over, we've got Black Friday coming up. So yeah, that's Black Friday, Christmas. It's been a wild year, 2020. I'm glad that summer's over. Winter in Phoenix is absolutely fantastic. You looking forward to winter?
No.
Why not?
I don't like being cold.
You're cold a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, I'm excited that we're getting into the holiday season, although, we drove around a little bit last night for Halloween and the city was empty. So I guess, Christmas isn't going to be very Christmassy. But, yeah, a lot of cool stuff has been announced. But, they're talking about more shutdowns coming soon. So I'm a little bit worried about if we're going to see a repeat of what came earlier in the year as far as not being able to get stuff, plants shutting down. It's already next to impossible right now to get titles from Analog Productions, Mobile Fidelity, all the audiophile titles. So much stuff is back ordered and awaiting repress. And it's crazy. You seem to get something in stock and it goes out of stock immediately. You'll have it for a day or two and then it's gone. What you doing?
I'm typing.
But yeah, so this would be our 4th live stream that we've done. On a side note, I've got a couple of videos slated to come out. So we started taking more time off of the store. I'm spending more time dedicated to making videos. I have a lot more shootouts slated. I spent a lot of time the last couple of weeks making modifications to the stereo system. Was it last Sunday? When did we go to California?
2 Sundays.
2 Sundays ago, we drove to California and bought a pair of VTL Siegfried 2 amps for the Wilsons, which has made a massive, massive, massive improvement. So made a lot of changes to the system. We started closing Sunday. So we got up, drove to California, drove right back. It was like 13 hours on the road. But I will say we stopped at P.F. Chang's and got dinner. It was probably the first time we ate out in 7-8 months. But you did it in the parking lot. They had a tent set up and you ate in the parking lot. So it was kind of cool. It was nice to be able to eat out again. Literally eat out outside. But yeah, it was it was pretty crazy, going into the guy that I got the Siegfrieds to had upgraded his system, and it was it was next level. But we were there. We were in and out quick. But I'm going to do a new video on the system and like all the updates that have been made, and I'm working out a shootout now. I'm thinking that'll probably be done next Sunday. But yeah, we're still going to continue to do these every Sunday. How's it going?
That's okay.
So we're going to do some questions. And yeah.
Give your phone. It's hot in here.
I turned the air on.
It's hot.
The air is on. Okay. You're not drinking for this show, are you?
Mm-mm.
Are you lying to me?
Mm-mm.
I'm watching you.
Mm.
It's in that Dr. Pepper. Shootouts are tough to do correctly. Yeah, so I'm working on a couple. I mean, there's about 10 that I'm working on. And I really hope to be getting a lot of those out. It's been just a crazy summer, and I just haven't had the time. So the Black Friday list was announced. I mean, what do you guys think of that Black Friday list? I looked at it and it looked okay. It looked a little stronger than the last couple of lists. Maybe not as strong as the first Record Store Day drop, but not a ton of stuff I wanted on it. But we'll see. I mean, there's always a couple of titles every year that elude me for Record Store Day that are much bigger than I anticipate. But yeah. So will they be continuing the Tone Poets in 2021? Yeah, they've announced that I think a minimum of 5 years that they're going to be doing the Tone Poets. And then with the new classic Blue Note Classic stuff, they pretty much announced that they're going to be doing analog 80th anniversary stuff and Tone Poets for the foreseeable future. It doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. So definitely a good time to be buying analog jazz records. There is a lot of killer stuff on the horizon. How limited are the Tone Poet reissues? They're not limited. They're limited to the amount of them they can sell. It is a worldwide distributed product. The same thing with the 80th anniversaries. Anything that is out of print now will continue to keep coming back in print. So how's the Mingus shootout coming? Almost done. That's probably the video that'll come this Sunday. So I was delayed because my stereo was in pieces. And, it was weeks going back and forth. Pulling the system apart, putting it back together, and that just took, a couple of weeks. Couldn't do a shootout under those circumstances. So, let's answer some questions. You gonna answer some questions?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because I'm just here to observe.
What are you observing?
You.
Okay, Sidewinder, between the Music Matters, the Analog Productions, or the Classics. So the Music Matters, as of now, the 33 is my favorite. Haven't heard the Classic. I can't see it being, maybe it could be better than the Music Matters, but I can't see it being that much better if it is. And I can't see it really being much worse. I think it's going to really be close to on par with that. If you're looking just to get the music, I would wait for some of these 80th anniversaries to come out before I spent big money on any of the Music Matter stuff. Although I will say a lot of the Music Matter stuff has really gone down quite a bit in price since their announcement. So we did get, there's a few Van Halen imports we got in recently, and they were analog sourced. We got in 1984. They were all Chris Bellman over at Bernie Grundman's studios, mastering studios, analog cuts. That's a new, they haven't announced it as new. It's essentially a continuation of the stuff that's been in print for years, but they all have the new Warner Brothers logo on them. So you could tell they're kind of issues that have came out recently. But probably 2 or 3 months before we see any more of those. Essentially what happened was when Eddie died, everything got sucked out. All the distributors, all the manufacturers, everything is now probably dried up. And we are essentially waiting on a repress. So, yeah. Or the out-of-print Miles Davis MFSL's title. I mean, the market pretty much determines the value. And if something sucks, they're worthless. Look at all the Blue Note 75th anniversary titles. Nobody pays more than retail for those, and a lot of them are out of print. You ready to ask some questions?
No, I want you to do it.
No, go ahead. No, it'll be good.
Damn it.
You look bored over there.
I'm not.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
We could be driving to California again. That's what we did 2 Sundays ago.
What are your thoughts on mobile fidelity versus analog production?
As a whole, they're two totally different. They focus on many different things. Analog Productions focuses more on jazz and blues, and Mobile Fidelity focuses more on rock. I wouldn't say one is better than the other because they're typically not doing the same thing. Although there's some crossover stuff. So, we're getting in the store. We're going to have the new UHQRs probably at the end of next week. The new Jethro Tull Aqualung. But inside that, they actually announced the next UHQR title is Miles Davis Kind of Blue, which I thought is a unique choice because it's technically, it's in print right now from Mobile Fidelity as, the box set that I talk about in the top 10 analog imprint records you should own. But they're using the old Bernie Grundman metalwork from Classic. Same as the Aqualung and same as the Dave Brubeck Timeout is all the old Bernie Grundman metalwork from 15, 20 years ago. So, but it's tough to compare because I believe the Bernie Grundman cut was using the original master tape, and that became unusable. So they cut from the original three tracks, the original 3-track tapes, a new master tape, and that's what that new that's what the Mobile Fidelity uses. So it'll be somewhat hard to compare, but it'd be interesting to kind of see a shootout between some of these. They did the Stevie Ray Vaughan. You've got the One Step. They did the Stevie Ray Vaughan. But it'd be interesting to go back and kind of compare some of as more titles. We seem to get some overlap. There's a One Step they announced that is going to be coming out in the foreseeable future. It's Cannonball Laterally Something Else. And, that's a 45 RPM. Analog Productions did it. So in the future, we'll have a little easier way to compare.
Okay. Mike, what would you say is your 1 or 2 favorite grain albums? Any line of sight as to when you'll replenish your Tone Poet inventory?
I've got a lot of Tone Poets in stock. There's only a couple of them that are out of stock, and the ones that are out of stock are just the ones that are waiting repress. The Chet Baker Sings is the big one. There's a couple of other ones, but for the most part, they're all in stock. Man, my favorite. I like Matador a lot. I really dug Green is Blue is a good record. I like Sunday Morning. There's a version of that was done by, what is it? There was a version that was done recently, very similar to a Tone Poet, tip-on jacket, all analog, cut by Kevin Gregg. It's out of print now, but that's a real fun record. There's a cover of Miles Davis's So What on there. There's no horn player on the album, so it's kind of different in that regard. And where Miles Davis would kind of be on that track, it's Grant Green playing a funky guitar. Cool album to check out.
How did that Booker T and the MG's Record Store Day title sound when you brought it home?
I think that's probably the best sounding of all of the third drop records. Actually, I just cleaned it. I listened to it in the store a few times. I haven't listened to it at home. I've been essentially home all day cleaning records and trying to clean this place up. Everything has been a mess. I've got records everywhere. I've been bringing records home for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I just been throwing them in a pile. What are you smiling about?
Weeks.
Oh, what are you?
Years and years and years.
But the piles are weeks old.
Oh, there's piles always, honey.
There is always piles.
Yes. Everywhere.
For years?
Here, my living room, your office. You're trying to take over the kids' rooms now.
Well, they're getting old. They're going to be moving out soon. We're going to have all that available space for more records.
Mm-mm.
What are you going to put in there?
My kids.
No, when they move out.
They're not leaving. Shut up.
Okay.
Is there a backlog on the new GNR Splatter record? I've been waiting here in Canada for 3 weeks.
Are we talking about the greatest hits? The greatest hits is an import, yeah, and it's back ordered, waiting a repress. I think that was a European import.
Ooh. Any update on the MoFi 45 Run DMC? It has been pulled from the MoFi website. Just that SACD is now listed.
Okay, so yeah, that has been completely sold out, and I'm about to pull it from my site because I'm getting close to selling out. So Mobile Fidelity, once they get to it's a good way to really keep track of Mobile Fidelity titles. So when it is back ordered or sold out, it's in print, awaiting more. They're waiting more copies from RTI. When they completely sell out of something, they just completely remove it from their website. So I think it's limited to 3,000 copies. All 3,000 copies of that Run DMC are now sold out. So I've got stuff on the way, and I'm getting to the point where the amount of copies I have coming are completely sold out. So they're going to be. I'm going to be cutting off pre-orders on the website probably within the next day or so. But yeah, it's just they've sold out, and not only have they sold out of there, they probably have say maybe 1,500 coming, 2,000 coming, and then they'll do 1,000 more maybe in a couple 2-3 months after it gets released. All 3,000 are gone. So that is the best-selling Mobile Fidelity pre-order title I've ever had, and I anticipate that going out of stock everywhere immediately, because most of the people that are getting that are probably pre-orders. It's going to be one of those titles that you're never going to see it on a store shelf. It's not going to be something that's in stock on anybody's website for more than a couple days. Just say CD sounded pretty good. I'm looking forward to the record, but yeah, that's the very first hip hop audiophile record. Will probably never be less than $100 from the day it comes out. I think from what I hear, it's going to be maybe in the next month and a half, before the end of the year. Is all Mobile Fidelity is saying as far as timing on that.
So I don't know. This one says, are MoFi sleeves shipping? Wait, what? Are they not like available on this website or what?
So we've had a difficult time getting sleeves because a lot of the
We just got a restock.
Yeah, but we were out for a couple months.
Yeah.
Those outer sleeves. I'm having extremely difficult. I can't get any Japanese sleeves, and I haven't been able to in 3 months. The plant in Japan is closed down. Who knows? They're probably making plastic plants. They're probably refocused on PPE would be my best guess. But sleeves have been impossible. So we use them pretty heavily at the store. I've got a couple thousand sleeves left for our used records and the new records that we sleeve. But Mobile Fidelity sleeves are pretty hard to get for a couple of months. But we got a restock in recently.
Are there going to be other Analog Production Doors albums available at the store?
Other titles. Yeah, we've got LA Woman coming in this week. So in a mid to end of the week, we'll have the LA Woman restock. All of them are in print. They're just awaiting repress. Analog Productions was heavily short-staffed because of COVID. Then I believe they had a couple of machines go down, which made things even worse. And now everybody's sitting at home, for months and months and months on end. And what are they doing? They're watching TV and they're listening to music. So now you've got significantly more buyers of vinyl than you did, say, a year ago. So it's like the perfect storm of making it impossible to find stuff.
Okay, so it says, Mike, what have you listened to on the new Wilsons that has wowed you?
So let's ask you that question. What do you think?
I don't listen to them that often.
Well, you listened to them a few times because you were the big deciding factor in getting these things dialed in.
Well, I only listened to like 3 records.
No, we listened to about 5 repetitively. So when I was testing the Wilsons out, I had about 5 records that were like my go-to records for testing this. They were the Marvin Gaye One Step, What's Going On, Norah Jones, Come Away With Me, Dave Brubeck's Time Out, the 45 RPM Analog Productions title, Bill Withers' Greatest Hits, MFSL, and Roger Waters' Amused to Death. It's probably the albums we listened to over and over and over again. And what did you notice? What were the big differences?
I guess I liked the Bill Withers. It sounded really well. No, the Dave Brubeck too. Both of those were really nice.
What were the differences between the two, the Wilsons and the Macintosh speakers?
Well, like when you did like the comparison where you hooked it and you know what I mean.
So we, there's a point in time where, and it's still, we had the VTL amps hooked up, and we had the Wilsons hooked up, and then I had the Macs just sitting side by side with the Macintosh amps. And through the preamp, kind of They don't have like A/B speakers, but they have speaker 1, speaker 2 on and off. So we were able to like A/B them pretty easily back and forth. The Wilsons, you got to be a little bit more careful of volume. They're a little bit more fatiguing if you get too loud. Would be my, but they're extremely detailed. I mean, it's cliche, but every time you upgrade, people talk about how you go back and you listen to all your records and you hear all kinds of crap that you never heard before. And that's exactly what it's been. It's been, when we listen to those records over and over and over again, it's amazing how you can listen to the same record 15 times in a week. And then under certain circumstances, maybe the 16th or 17th time, you notice stuff that's in there that you didn't notice. It was kind of funny story. So one of my customers had a pair of VTL Siegfried 1s that he was looking to sell. And he's like, I told him that the Macintosh amps and these Wilsons was just a bad combination. I didn't like the sound. He goes, well, come pick up these VTLs and try them out, see what you think. 220 pounds a piece. It's not the easiest task. So a team of us went over to his house. We picked him up. Angel helped. Wasn't that fun? She was not happy about it. And she cussed me out a little bit. Not going to lie. Told me off a few times. You weren't happy, but you did it. You soldiered on. But it was kind of funny. So we hooked everything up and we turned it on. And I made her, sit down because my hope was things were going to sound much better and she would see the fruit of our labor. And I plugged them in. We listened to the Nora Jones and she just looked pissed off. She was pissed. And I'm like, what's going on? She was pissed off because she knew how much better the VTL sounded than the Macintosh, and she knew we were going to be buying a pair of VTL amps. So it was that look of disgust, like you're buying one more damn thing for this stereo. Ridiculous. So, yeah, that was an experience. But I changed the cabling again, and I moved the amps to where you can kind of see the amps are now in the middle of the speakers as opposed to on the far wall. So, yeah, it's been fun. Don't you think?
No.
I'm excited to do the video of the system update video. There's not a lot of stuff that it's amazing because the stereo is the same for a lot of years, but there's not a lot of things that are the same from the last video to this next one. So ask the question.
It says,
have you stopped thinking about stereo purchases?
No. Here, you read this one.
Which one are we talking about? I already answered that question.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was just joking.
You were joking? You didn't want me to read it twice?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. So Mobile Fidelity, somebody mentioned that the Mobile Fidelity is starting to do super vinyl. So, all the one steps are on super vinyl, which is the ultra low noise floor vinyl. So they've done a Burt Bacharach, Elvis Costello, and Bob Dylan's Desire, both on super vinyl. Are you eating popcorn now?
Yeah, this is a show. Why
It's
can't
like
I eat
a show.
popcorn?
You're in the show. Generally, the people in the show don't eat the popcorn. It's the people watching the show.
Well, see, the problem with that is I'm a different person. You can't compare me to everybody else.
You're unique.
I like popcorn.
Yeah. So they announced these super vinyl titles. They're exclusive to their website, but they, I don't know if the Bob Dylan Desire sold out already, but it is, because normally, like I said, when they sell out, they pull them from their website. But yeah, it is not showing as available for purchase anymore on the website. And we're talking that was within a couple of hours. I'll probably have them. I did get copies. I'll probably have them at the end of next week. Looking forward to them. Let's see. So my 2020 favorite record store day. What are my favorite 2020 record store day?
Billy. You like that one a lot.
Yeah, that Billie Eilish live at Third Man.
Mm-hmm.
I really dig the Austin Powers soundtracks. Those have been fun.
That's true.
It's kind of fun too when you listen to all three back to back to kind of see like musically how the show progressed, all the way from doing like '60s lounge music to in Austin Powers 1 to Beyonce in Austin Powers 3. That was kind of fun. Do you guys only do analog? I got a CD player. I got a few CDs.
There's one question in there that said that that we're so dedicated to the store, and like, what do we do that does not consist of the store, basically. That was a good one, but I couldn't find it. Want to know why?
Why is that?
Because that's our life. We do nothing.
That's not true.
I come home and eat popcorn and then go to work.
Isn't that fun?
No.
No?
No.
That's not
you
true.
You come home and you listen to your music and you go back to work.
We went grocery shopping today.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Forgive me. I was wrong.
Yeah. We drove to California.
That was work.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
That was fun.
Oh, okay.
We had P.F. Chang's in a tent.
That was nice, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. How does the new... What's your favorite horror film? Leland wants to know that.
My favorite one would be...
What's your favorite horror soundtrack? Let's make his question better.
It scared me. I don't know. I haven't heard too many because you always sell them.
That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Shining soundtrack you took home this week.
I haven't heard it though. My freaking stereo is covered in your crap, so I can't listen to anything.
Well, it's not, the stereo's not covered. It's just hard to get to.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
There's some classical records in the way.
I don't know. I like a lot of them. I guess Freddy Krueger movies.
Those are your favorite?
Because they really freak me out. When he comes through the bed and sucks the person in and stuff. And then there's like this movie Jason where like I think some guy ate somebody's
I don't
heart.
personally need to know.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I like everything. I don't know. I don't have a favorite horror movie.
So
favorite cartoon.
It's kind of funny. So I'm kind of like the audio buff in the family, and Angel prefers movies. Definitely, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's funny because the only music that she really collects on vinyl is soundtracks. Let's see. What's been your favorite to listen to so far since you got the Wilsons? So, the Wilsons make some stuff sound really good and are actually showing some deficiency in some recordings. So, the Wilsons do really good with non-congested music. So, stuff that is, jazz. They sound exceptionally well. Vocals. But if you get anything that's really, really congested, I think they're not as fun to listen to.
You guys had my dad.
Huh?
You guys had my dad.
Hi, Dad. Do we really believe the UHQR vinyl is worth $125 on release? Yeah, well, yes, because they sell out. I think there's maybe, look at the Jimi Hendrixes, what they're going for now. The monos are like $500 and the stereos are like $300. So the proof is in the pudding on that one. So let's see, the Let It Be special edition version for Black Friday. So yeah, it was supposed to come out for the original record store day in April. There's going to be 900 pressings. That record is going to be extremely, extremely hard. I've heard from every single distributor that most stores are going to get none. And if a store does get any, it's going to be one. So that's going to be one that that is going to be one of the hottest and hardest record store day titles there ever has been to get. Just because of their fan base, the Rolling Stones fan base. let's see, what does record speed have to do with anything? So I'm going to assume that. So when you cut something at 45 RPM, you can essentially get more information into the groove, and you can get it. You can cut it a little hotter, so you can put a little bit more bass into the groove. So more dynamic range, more information. It's kind of the equivalent of higher resolution, uh, you know, Blu-ray versus DVD. Let's see. Oh, there's your consumed by the store.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a plant? Did you plant that question in there?
No.
So we did start taking off Sundays, but we just really don't know what to do now with our time because we've been at the store for so long. And to be honest, because of COVID, what the hell can you do? Like, I would have loved to been able to like go to California and go to like a water park, go to a water park here. You can't do anything anymore. So it's like there's no movies you can really go to. You can't really go to dinner. We're gonna probably go to a football game in a couple weeks. We're season ticket holders to the Cardinals for 13 years, many years, and they're opening the stadium up to a couple thousand people. So we're gonna go to probably a football game. So yeah, we do football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do football games.
I haven't gone in a long time, but yeah.
We used to go to every football game. Yeah. Let's see.
Where's that?
I don't know. Far away. Let's see. Play The Shining through the Wilsons. Yeah, that's Angel's record.
I don't get to touch his stuff.
You can't touch my stereo. See, this guy's thinking ahead. Said you should have used COVID as an excuse there. See, I did. I came back to it. Let's see. So favorite soundtracks. My favorite soundtracks are kind of the funk, blaxploitation soundtracks of the 70s. Dolomite, Disco Godfather, Foxy Brown, Superfly. That's kind of when it comes to soundtracks, my favorite stuff and the stuff that I collect. Yeah.
What's that about?
I don't know.
I didn't see that.
Do you like Jim Pastrami? I have no idea who that is. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Then some guy comments pastrami. I did have a Reuben the other day, but yeah. Let's see. What artist or band did you get into because of me?
Huh? No, nothing. Honestly, it's more like you've gotten into things because of me.
So you have not gotten to anything because of me?
Mm-mm.
You don't just find yourself wanting to put on a Coltrane record late at night when I'm not around?
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Not one thing.
Mm-mm.
That's not very nice. What are you trying to say? I have fantastic musical taste.
You have like normal taste. You like rock and you like jazz, and that's it. You don't listen to anything else. But you've gotten into more things because of me.
I listen to soul. I listen to like
a little bit, yeah. It's mainly jazz and rock, though.
It's got to be something.
Mm-mm.
What about the Talking Heads? What New
I've
Order?
always liked the Talking Heads and New Order. I guess, yeah, that's something I would like to listen to more. That's something I started listening to more because of you. But I've always liked them.
And what have I gotten into because of you?
Bjork, Billie Eilish, Amanda Palmer.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Mm-hmm. All my weird cookie music. Ish. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jim Pastrami. I guess we're going to have to Google that. Favorite female jazz records? Yes. So I love Astrid. I was listening to Beach Bossa Nova. I think it was Beach Bossa Nova, maybe just like 4 or 5 hours ago. Astrid Gilberto. That's not how you say her name. Just by the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. Any Joy Division cut from analog? Yeah, all the original Joy Division records are cut from analog. All of the new ones are not. Mobile Fidelity copy of The Omen. No, there's not. Angel dressed up for Halloween. She dressed up as a dead cheerleader, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one else freaking did. I was so disappointed. Not one person came into the store dressed up.
You just looked weird, didn't you?
No, I don't give a crap. It was Halloween.
Yeah, but you were all by yourself.
Like I said, I'm a different person. Not like all these Joe Schmoes.
All his Joe Schmoes who didn't dress up?
Yeah.
Halloween was kind of ruined for you this year, wasn't it?
Well, no, I decorated the house. I dressed up. We never get people knocking on our door, so it's normal. I just didn't get to go out with the kids this year, but next year, it's my year.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go with the Addams family. You get to be Gomez. Okay?
No.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, we are going to have the Cat Stevens box sets.
What's awkward?
I don't know. Oh, maybe the Jim Pastrami comment. Right?
Could be.
Yeah. Any thoughts on big box retailers expanding the vinyl selections?
Oh yeah,
and
the monsters could be good too.
Exclusive offerings. That's a good question. I have a lot of thoughts. It agitates the hell out of me when I go into a Target. This guy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that message was retracted. Now I'll never know what it says.
Why? Did somebody take it off or did he do it?
He did it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, go back to your other question that I rudely interrupted.
What was I talking about? Yeah, so it's so frustrating that you get these box retailers, and it's exactly like it was 20 years ago. These retailers just destroy vinyl essentially by selling it as a loss leader. I know it's good for customers. You can go in and get like these 20 and 30 titles, and they sell it for, in sometimes cases, I hate the bandwagon jumping of these. We went into Target, and it was like everything was like a Target exclusive. You get all these companies that couldn't care less about vinyl for decades and decades. You had all these small retailers keeping it going. And the labels, once again, of course, because of their buying power, they put so much effort into keeping Target happy. You got all these Target exclusives, and I guess you got indie exclusives, and there's stuff of that nature that we have, but and it's not that big of a deal because it's really only about 20 or 30 albums. Most people that come into my store at this point in time have most of those albums. But there was a good point in vinyl 5 years ago, for instance, when it was big enough but not too big that it wasn't Amazon, there wasn't Walmart, there wasn't Target. If you wanted records, you were essentially going into a record store, and there was other online retailers that specialized in it. But, all of these, exclusives for, the new Paul McCartney album is kind of, I think I've seen like 12 variants so far of Paul McCartney 3. There was the Third Man. There's 2 Third Man variants. There's an indie store white variant. There's the black vinyl. There's varying colors. When I saw the cover, I thought to myself, that's such a simple cover. Then I started seeing all these, all of these color variants everywhere. I'm like, I got the feeling like this cover was literally designed with the intention to sell this album 17 different times to every person, because there's so many variants and there's so many Beatle collectors that have to have every single variant. And it was like the most basic cover where they just changed the color of the dice and the color of the background. It's kind of like Egypt Station that Paul did. There was a ton of variants with that, but this is like taken to the next level. But ideally, I think a lot of these, we had Fry's Electronics here locally that started doing vinyl. And I think they got discouraged with it quick because they were going pretty hot and heavy with it. And then it kind of got to the point where they stopped supporting it because you went in there and you started seeing the same thing over and over. They weren't getting new titles. I remember going in there once because right after Prince died, they probably went nuts buying Prince records. I went in there and I saw they had 40 copies of Prince's 1999 for $4 a record, some $2.99 a record, and I bought every single copy they had. But that was kind of the end of them probably really focusing on vinyl. But it is a relatively frustrating experience when I go into these stores and I see all these indie exclusive colors when, they could care less about vinyl. But yeah. Target around here has had the same 5 vinyl records for a year. I just don't think, I think they're going to get discouraged with it. And one of the reasons I think it's going to be discouraging is I would see this at Fry's Electronics, and I saw it at Target when I was there. All the records that were on the shelf were all trashed. So customers mishandling the records, the stock, the employees mishandling a record. When you drop a vacuum cleaner on the floor as your stock on the shelf, it's not a real big deal. To have a crushed corner in a vacuum cleaner box. But on a record, that's a little bit more of a, that's more of a deal breaker. So I think you got a lot of people that really just don't know the handling. So it's one of the things I notice when I go into these stores is everything is crushed. All these records are damaged. I don't know if people are just taking the good stuff and leaving all the crap, but there's a lot of wildly damaged stuff. So, yeah. Let's see. 12 variants of the McCartney with 2 more to be announced. 14 variants of that record. So, I don't specialize in the Beatles, but I kind of in a way do specialize in the Beatles. I have I've got a lot of connections with people that are real deep into the Beatles. I've got a lot of Beatles collectors coming in the store, and I bought in some really significant Beatles collections. And, I'm the largest collectible vinyl store in Arizona. So I get a lot of those collectors in. And it's amazing how many people who are not record guys, who are just Beatle collectors, they buy everything. They'll buy every copy of Sgt. Pepper with every capital variation of every single label, misspelling. And yeah, this Paul McCartney 14 variation is 100% without a doubt. They're going to sell many, many copies to the same people over and over again. Walmart is making a big push in vinyl records more than Target. I don't go to Walmart anymore. I boycotted that store a lot of years ago. Don't go to Walmart. Are you noticing vinyl records when you go to Walmart?
I don't go that far. I don't go in the electronics section, so I don't know.
Do you know what Lo-Fi will issue on Super Vinyl next? No, I don't. They're pretty tight-lipped about it. I knew a couple of years ago they were going to start doing Super Vinyl on other titles, but I think we're going to see a big bunch of drops of Super Vinyl. RTI wasn't pressing Super Vinyl for most of the summer. That's why you're seeing all the Super Vinyl hit all at once. You're seeing the Mingus came back, the Burt Bacharach and the Bob Dylan title. All that came. Who knows? There could be in the next couple of days another Super Vinyl title announced. I think it's interesting too that the 2 titles they've done are both titles that are $200 and $150, on the retail market. You know what I mean? They're kind of titles. You would think that these titles had been picked months and months and months ago, and the Dylan stuff really has shot up in value in the last couple of months. So maybe there was no way of them even knowing that. But I think it's crazy how the first 2 titles were titles that go for huge money on the secondary market. So, yeah. Yeah, we're going to do Black Friday Record Store Day. Aren't you excited about that?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Too much work.
It is a lot of work.
No days off.
For a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Maybe a week before, a week after.
Mm-hmm.
Getting caught up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the Black Friday is going to be handled the exact same way as Record Store Day was. 1 o'clock Eastern, everything will be available on the website. So
You can do that way also. You can do Black Friday through the website.
yes, they allowed you to do that as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird Black Friday. The days of mass shopping, I think, are gone.
Well, I've
This
seen
year.
like a Target commercial saying that it's already started in November. Black Friday deals.
I do like the fact that all the stores that are not doing Black Friday are gonna have no incentive to open on Thanksgiving. I hated that. Stores opening on Thanksgiving. It's a day to sit home and eat. Not shop. Shop on Friday. Right?
Mm.
Don't you agree?
I guess since you don't ever let me go out.
On Friday.
Okay.
Thursday's family time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because it's your favorite holiday.
It is. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Football and honey baked ham. For the win. What?
I won't get any this year.
We'll get you some glaze. Yeah. Do you know what's going on with Vinyl Me Please? I have a video coming up soon on Vinyl Me Please, so I will leave it for that video. Any good versions of Bitches Brew that won't break the bank? No. The expenses, the originals are getting expensive. The lo-fi costs a ton of money. Just, yeah, $100 bill for that record for a good version. When's the Nielsen Mo-Fi shipping? They haven't announced the date yet. The stuff that they've announced, they pretty much said they're going to try to get out by the end of the year. It's Mobile Fidelity kind of comes in clumps. So you won't hear a title for 2 weeks. You know, they won't have a release or restock on a title for 2 weeks. Then they get a big truck and there's 3 or 4 titles back to back to back. So did I watch The Natural for the love of God? No, Chris, I did not watch The Natural yet. I'm going to watch The Natural. I have not seen it. I commented on the Record Store Day unboxing video that the movie The Natural, the soundtrack, couldn't have been that good a movie because I've never seen it. And I like to think I saw most of all the good movies. No. But apparently that's not the case.
I've never seen that though either, I don't think.
See? Let's see. So they're hoping another label does the Miles Davis catalog on 33 with replica jackets, not into the Mo-Fis. Don't hold your breath. Sony has gotten really, really strict. Sony is wanting to do everything in-house, and I don't think Sony's going to be doing any audiophile type releases anytime soon. You're going to get a lot of digital crummy cuts. So, yeah. What was the best Rhino Rocktober release or most popular? The most popular two were The Crow and the Crow soundtrack and the Jane's Addiction. By far. If I had 1,000 copies, I could have sold 1,000 copies of those. Those were just gone in minutes, super heavily allocated, you know, and there's no cheap version of those records to be had. No versions really under $100 of either of those records to be had. So super desirable, sold out extremely quick. I think, you know, we got all, because of the weather, our new arrival video last week was pretty weak. We didn't really have much to show you guys. That truck is coming tomorrow. So I think the Kraftwerk stuff is going to be really popular too. A lot of those Kraftwerk titles haven't been in print in a long time. So yeah. No, speaking of the Kraftwerk, I haven't gotten any. I got one copy of Tour de France. That was it. It was like accidentally put in the wrong box. So I got it. So.
Is that Nate?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So let's see.
Okay.
Yes, Nate, buy me the movie. I appreciate that. Or no, Chris.
We wouldn't have anything to watch it on.
This is a good question. Why is Kevin Gray doing another cut of the Sidewinder when they already have lacquers from Music Matters Jazz release? Do you expect there to be a difference in mastering between the classic and the Music Matters Jazz titles? Because Music Matters Jazz owns that lacquer. They licensed the title from Blue Note. You license the title. You pay for the session work. You pay for the metal work. You pay for all that. You own that. You don't own the music, but you own the metal parts. So Ron at Music Matters Jazz is not going to give that metal work up to Blue Note. So, because the Blue Note Classic Series is an in-house project. But, Kevin Gray just recently cut that a couple of years ago. I don't see the sound quality being different from the Music Matters titles. Now, the 45s, that's a different thing. They were done in conjunction with Steve Hoppin. They're much older. His system was much different. His studio has gotten a lot of upgrades since then. But the 33 stuff, I'm going to assume, is going to be really, really close to the Music Matter Jazz stuff. Do you have a Blu-ray player? I have an Oppo and a PlayStation 3.
You have Xbox. Does that do it or no?
No, we have the PlayStation. We don't have an Xbox. Is that an Xbox?
We have an Xbox.
We have an Xbox. Not a PlayStation.
PlayStation in the garage somewhere.
Geffen took those medals from ORG on the Nirvanas. Could happen. That could have been a deal that they worked out, too. I should ask ORG. I talk to them pretty regularly. I'm kind of curious of what the deal was there. So, something worth mentioning is, a lot of you guys have probably heard about the fire that took place. And one of the titles that the Universal fire, they confirmed Nirvana's catalog is getting torched. Now, Nirvana says that their masters weren't lost, but Universal claimed in court documents here earlier this year that stuff was that their master tapes were gone. So, we don't know the deal there. But if you think about it, the ORG and the current in-production version of Nirvana, Nevermind, is analog. And it may be the very, very last time you ever see an analog copy of Nevermind that's cut from the original master tape. Would be the in-print version of it. So it's quite possible that they said, hey, look, sell us the metalwork or something. Maybe they said, give us the Nirvana metalwork and we'll license you this. There could have been some horse dealing going on there. Let's see. Do you think Blue Note will consider doing better jackets on the Classic Series? No.
Why?
Because they want to keep those titles cheap and affordable and in print. Don, so I did maybe 5 years. They had a record show at the Capitol Tower, and I spoke to Don, was the president of Blue Note, for maybe 2 hours. He was out there in the tent, and I just talked his ear off. We talked about producing when he produced the Rolling Stones. We talked about the Blue Note catalog. But one of the things that was, I had mentioned, I asked him, what he thought about the Music Matter. Then, he spoke highly of it. He couldn't believe how good they got it to sound. But he said something to me that sticks with me to this day. He said that he wanted to have everything in the hands of customers possible. He wanted CDs. He wanted high-quality SACDs. He wanted HD FLAC files. He wanted high-quality records. He wanted cheap records. He wanted streaming. He wanted this music in everybody's hand in every which way possible. I think they view a $35 title as a bar of entry for a lot of people. And it is. There's some people, especially people that are new to vinyl, that aren't buying $35 new records. $25 is a stretch. There's a huge group of people that are buying records that are like $5 to $15. You're never going to find a copy of Blue Train for $5 to $15. So maybe they'll stretch out and buy a Classic Series title for that. So that's kind of the target they're going for there. Let's see. Yeah, safety copies were on the shelf next to the master. Probably right. Yeah. So, yeah, Universal Fire is an absolute disaster. And, I've talked to guys who are looking at remastering records, and they're talking about, doing a record that was done, say, 15 years ago and not being able to do is, maybe doing, it's just a disaster. There's a lot of great titles that were cut in the 90s and the O's that will never get done again. So, yeah. So the Kraft Records Chet Baker Riverside collection that's coming out, the same as what was in the box set out last year. I'm guessing. I don't know if the covers are going to be the same quality, but there's just no reason for them to recut that lacquer work. You can make, you can, from a lacquer, you can make a father, you make mothers, you can make thousands, tens and thousands of records, way more than they'll ever use. And there's just no reason to pay to have it done twice. So yeah, it's going to be the same metalwork. Let's see. There's still $5 records. There's, what's a $5 record in the store? There is $5 records, but it's like, what are we thinking? Like a Linda Ronstadt record that's not Heart Like a Wheel, or
Heart.
Definitely not Heart.
Mm-hmm. Well, they used to be $6 records. Now I don't
Not
know.
anymore. Heart's gotten crazy expensive. Everything, especially that 70s and 80s stuff that was worthless for years, has gotten crazy. Mm. So, like, maybe Barry Manilow's greatest hits might be a $5-6 record now, to where it was a $1 record. Any what do you think? $5. You don't price records anymore, do you? There's still some $5 records out there, but the quality of title has definitely suffered. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Somebody mentions they got a copy of Pearl Jam in 2000 for $9. Pearl Jam Yield. So I remember going into a chain record store here in Phoenix when I first moved here, and I'd stopped buying vinyl for a couple years, but started like buying stuff up again. It was like early 2000s, maybe 2001, 2002. And I remember seeing a copy of the Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy, on the walls, the original UK number pressing. And it was like $25 on the wall. It wasn't even the wall. It was like behind the counter, because the record bins at the time were maybe like 2 or 3 rows. And you didn't notice that there?
No.
So I remember thinking to myself, $25 is an absolute ridiculous price to pay for a record. You get the CD for $4 or $5 at the time. And I remember saying to myself, I'm just going to hold off. I'm not buying this now. And, but yeah, I remember those days when you could go into the record store. When I opened up what you could get for $5-6, I think back on it now, and it's amazing. So periodically, I've got hundreds of thousands of records stored in my garage, and every time I'm feeling adventurous, I'll go in there and pull a box out. And it's funny, I've got boxes of stuff in the garage that were $1, $2, $3, $4 records. 6 years ago, they weren't. It was just overstock stuff I had too much of. And I pulled out one of these boxes, man, and it was like the stuff I was finding in these boxes was like, now it was like gold. But at the time, it was like you couldn't give this stuff away. I pulled out of that box. There was like Toto records in there. There was Journey records in there. Fleetwood Mac records in there. Copies of Rumors, and that stuff was just so hard to sell 6-7 years ago. And a lot of these albums now are like $20, $30. It was funny. There was 3 copies of Journey's greatest hits in there. And this was, so I bought this particular box from a guy who used to do record shows, and he had like $1, $2, $3, $4 price tags on them. And this is stuff that he had for years and years and years. And I got it as part of a deal for it was like a throw-in almost. And he had like these 3 Journey greatest hits in there for, I think, $3. And you got to think, these were at shows for probably years. He had taken these to local shows here in Phoenix, and he couldn't get rid of these records for $3 a record. I mean, just there was no buyers. But yeah, how times have changed. Wow, I wish you could find jazz records for that price. You used to. I remember going into record stores in the 90s, and the stuff you could have got was before the internet. Only to have, a crystal ball. Any update on shipping? Patches is $5. Yeah, there you go. Patches $5.
I don't get it. Oh, the $5 in our store.
Talking about $5 in the store, yeah. Let's see.
You didn't answer the question about any shipping.
So I have a guy now working on the website full time, almost maybe about half the day, trying to get international shipping online. So
I do it too, even though you told me not to.
when did you start that?
Well, like if I don't know a weight of something and it doesn't have the weight in it, I'll go and look it up, and then just since I'm looking it up anyways, I just type it in.
Yeah. We are working very diligently updating the website. It's been a process. What would you price Teddy Pendergrass at? Yeah, maybe that'd be a $5 record or a $1 record. So that's my store. There's one or the other. It's either a $5 record or above, or it's a $1 record. So the $2, $3, and $4 records are all in the dollar box. So the Fleetwood Mac Rumors 45 coming out. Is it analog? So let's see. That is a title that's been in print and out of print for years. It was cut by Kevin Gray and I think Steve Hoffman. So it looks like it is coming back in print again. This is just a reissue of the 45. I'm guessing that has been in print forever. I could be wrong. Let's see. It has a different barcode. I'm looking on my distributor's website now. Prested Palace in Germany. Different barcode. Doesn't specify that it's analog. I can't see them doing a 45 RPM digital cut of that. You know, that's going to have to warrant some more investigation. I'm kind of looking here now. Let's see. So I'm thinking that's going to be the same reissue. I'm going to have that up later in the week for pre-order. I was supposed to do it for this past video. We'll get that on the website here. I'll do it later tonight, get that up for pre-order. I'll dig and find out some more information. But it looks like that is going to be it looks like that's going to be the analog cut that came out in 2011. Jason wants to know what a $5 milkshake tastes like.
That's Jason.
We'd probably have to ask. Travolta, or was it? Who was that? $5 milkshake. It's from Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Who asked that? Was it Samuel L. Jackson? I want to know what a $5 milkshake tastes like. You don't remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, you're the movie buff.
I haven't seen that movie in such a long time.
Vincent Vega. Yeah, it was Travolta. Any more releases from Black Jazz Records coming out? I think so. And actually, one of the coolest things, too, I'll have them up for pre-order. Modern Harmonic is doing Sun Ra. Lucifer's Fireside Chat with Lucifer with Nuclear War on it. And there's another company that's doing a lot of like the Saturn Sun Ra stuff. It's kind of amazing. I think back on this. I never thought, let me have the water there. I never thought I would see a time where we're getting Black Jazz and Sun Ra reissues. You've got companies like Pure Pleasure doing Tribe reissues. It's unbelievable. Never anticipated any of this stuff ever happening. But yeah. So the Kind of Blue UHQR, I mentioned it earlier. It's going to sound good, but it's going to sound like the Bernie Grundman cut version from that Classic did, because that's what it is. They're using the same metal parts, although the vinyl is going to be superior. Classic was the most spotty. They had the most spotty production I've ever seen. Classic Records got so bad towards the end. They charged you for a white glove service, I think it was. So essentially, they charged you extra money to open the record and inspect it to make sure they weren't sending you an inferior product. That's what they did at the end. So yeah, you bought your. There were so many people having issues because you would return it. It'd be a big hassle. So as a little add-on, they could charge you an extra few bucks to make sure you were getting what you ordered.
Interesting.
Crazy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is your opinions on the labels Wax Time and Dole? Well, I have answered this question many times, and I get lambasted. I did a Music Matters video, and I had mentioned if you are buying Wax Time records, you are a putz, and I will stand by that.
Why?
Because it's a gray area. So in Europe, after 60 years, I think it is, records become public domain. Audio recordings become public domain. So if we were in Europe, we could be making copies of Kind of Blue right now. Me and we could do a reissue of Miles Davis's Kind of Blue. But where would we get the source? Well, we would go to, Target. We buy a copy of the CD. Obviously, we can't do that anymore because Target doesn't sell CDs. But we go to a garage sale. You buy a copy of a CD and you make a record. That's their sourcing. Their sourcing is low quality crap. So, and it's not like they're exactly giving this stuff away. You can get a Columbia officially licensed copy of Kind of Blue for like 20 some odd dollars, low 20s, and maybe $5-6 less for an unofficial version on Wax Time or Dole. Like, why bother? Like, pay the extra $4 or $5. If you are buying vinyl, you should. I guess vinyl has become fatty now, but if you are buying vinyl, you should care about the sound quality of what you're buying. So don't buy subpar records. Oh, apparently Target does still sell CDs. But do they sell Miles Davis Kind of Blue? Chances are, if they do sell CDs, they sell like 100 CDs. And I doubt any of them are jazz records. Let's see. Yeah, music on vinyl is digital. Almost all music on vinyl stuff is digital. I think they did some stuff where they use like metal parts from original records that maybe were done analog. But yeah. Somebody wants us to start. So people have been contacting me to flatten vinyl records. I just don't have the time. I've got about 400 records that I'm attempting to flatten now. Being in the desert, a lot of times I buy collections from people who have their records sitting in the garage. So my machines are running nonstop, 2 machines, 2 to 3 records a day. I just don't have time to be doing it via the mail. Let's see. Petty Live anthology sets. Back order. The Grateful Dead Vinyl Me Please box is not digital. I think maybe one of the albums is without a net, but most of that box is cut from the analog tapes.
How come we don't answer any of the older questions?
What do you mean? I'm answering lots of questions.
The older ones, I said.
Because that's old news.
Oh, all right.
Is the ad? Let's see. We're looking at older questions. So yeah, public domain stops 1962 in Europe. So I guess 1962 and older, all those titles are public domain. Anybody can make a record. But you'll notice you can really tell the Dole or the Wax Time records because all the original logos, Columbia is still a trademark company that's in business. So they don't say Columbia on the record. They airbrush that off. So, yeah. Let's see.
What's so funny?
I'm looking at old questions. I'm reading Jason's Milkshake. Let's see. Will AP ever reissue the Zeppelin stuff? I think it's going to be so hard to get licensing. They have the metalwork to that stuff. It would be really cool. They would sell really well, but I doubt it. The label's doing, they don't want anything to compete. Maybe they can go to them and say, look, we'll do a super limited $125 box set. It's no competition with your digital source $25 version. So it's quite possible. That would be super cool. So somebody asks about world music, funk, soul stuff. So there's a label called Analog Africa that kind of specializes in like Nigerian funk. And I've been listening to a lot of that analog. There's an analog, what's it called? It's called African Screen Contest, I think. There's a volume 1 and 2 that's super funky. Really good. Analog Africa. If you like world funk, world soul, cool label to check out. With that kind of stuff, the sound quality is spotty, but yeah, that African Scream record is super good musically. So let's see. Websites like Vinyl Me Now. I don't even know what that is. Guess I'm behind the times there. So, yeah, trying to think. So, I see that comment there on the Miles Davis Kinda Blue being your favorite album. I think I talked about this in the last video. Me and a buddy of mine drove to California and we bought Ed Michel, the legendary Impulse jazz producers. He's responsible for all that Alice Coltrane, Yusuf Lateef, Archie Shepp. I mean, you Google this guy, Ed Michel, and he was the guy in avant-garde jazz in the 70s. And the comment he said to me that just sticks out the absolute most is we were just talking about jazz and we liked a lot of the same stuff, but somehow kind of my buddy's like, yeah, he did the shootout on Miles Davis's Kinda Blue, and Ed looks up and he goes, Kinda Blue, that's a pop album. To him it was so it was like a schmaltzy record to him because he was into such that hardcore stuff. I did a lot of footage. I recorded a lot of footage of that, but I got like 12 hours of footage of that trip. And just compiling that into a video has been a massive undertaking. I would love to try to compile a little of that and make a YouTube friendly video. But yeah, that was Miles Davis, the pop record. Let's see. Have you listened to? So a lot of people have been asking about those Japanese records that I put on the website. Sony Japan is pressing records again now. And people have been, I listened to a couple of them in passing at the store, but in all honesty, I really haven't taken them home and done like a real deep listen on any of those. They're all sourced from 24-bit 192 high-res files, but I'm not really 100% sure. I don't want to comment on that. So I'm going to have to redo the Miles Davis Kinda Blue video once that UHQR comes out. There's been so many copies of that I've added to the collection since I did that video. When the UHQRs come out, I've got the Nimbus Supercut, the Japanese pressings, the Mobile Fidelity Super Vinyl variant that came out. So that's a video that's like absolutely going to have to be updated here soon. But I'm not 100% sure how those titles sound. So what is your favorite Tone Poet Blue Note 80 so far? So my favorite Tone Poet was the Chet Baker Sings, just because of how hard that album is to get. And my favorite 80th, maybe Kenny Dorham, Una Mas. Just because that was a record that was something I don't know. What was about that record? Ultrasonic cleaner for under $1,000. You're not going to get a good ultrasonic cleaner for $1,000. You're going to get like an automotive parts cleaner that's been converted to take records. It was never meant for vinyl. It doesn't dry the records. And if you're in that's tough. Bar of entry for ultrasonic is high. I don't see any inexpensive ultrasonic cleaners coming anytime soon. The only reason that Chet Baker Sings has achieved the status it has is because it's been out of print so long. I looked on the used market. That thing's been going for like $100. But I will say, when that thing came out, most of my jazz guys who come in for those tone poets are like, I'll never forget one of them. Was it Doug and Norm come in? And Doug's a sax player, plays a lot of different wind instruments, loves the tone poet series, comes in and is like, Chet Baker, can't do it. Sounds like a girl, is what he said. But those were actually really slow moving when they were in the store. They didn't become such a big deal until they were out of print for so long. But yeah, that's kind of the deal with the Chet Baker. Once that comes back in print, I don't think it'll be such a big deal anymore. Yes, so have you compared a Blue Note reel-to-reel tape release from the 50s? Like the commercial reel-to-reel stuff? No, I have not. I've got the couple of Tape Project 15 IPS reel-to-reel stuff, and there's just no comparing that with anything. Did you get a chance to listen to Duke Pearson's The Phantom? I got it and love it. No. I'm planning on cleaning that later on. Let's see. How does your Charles Mingus one-step sound? I still haven't even listened to it. I had a lot of records to listen to. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. I got piles of records everywhere, and so I did videos in the past, and I'm sitting over here looking at my fireplace, and I showed you guys a collection I bought maybe 6 months ago, and it's still sitting here. That classical record collection that I showed you guys, I did a video on that $25,000 I spent on classical records. It's still sitting in the exact same spot, and there's more records in front of it now. So I've been actively buying some collections. I can't resist buying good record collections. So yeah. Favorite sub $500 cartridge. God, I really like. I dig the Ortofon Quintet Blue. We recently picked up Audio-Technica. A lot of people think of Audio-Technica and they think about, the $20 cartridges that come on a Crosley, or they think about, because Audio-Technica is a master builder. They make stuff for everybody. They're making Crosley cartridges. They're making cheap cartridges. But a lot of the Audio-Technica stuff that's their higher end stuff that's hand built in Japan sounds absolutely killer. So that OXC or OCX stuff, I've been listening to a lot of those cartridges lately since we became a dealer. A lot of those are extremely good sounding, but probably in that range. I think it's around 5.25. That Quintet Blue is a really good cartridge. I'm a fan of that. I dig the sound of the Ortofon cartridges in general. My main cartridge on my table is a Winfield, so I really dig the overall Ortofon sound. Let's see. You mentioned so I don't read Reddit. I didn't really know what Reddit was until who was telling me about Reddit? My buddy Jason was telling me about Reddit maybe like 6 months ago. I've seen it in passing, but for me, it's never been easy to navigate. But yeah, I've been on the Hoffman forum. I actually subscribed to, or I became a member of the Hoffman forum. I think I got about 6 posts under my belt. So yeah, I read stuff. I occasionally post. Are the Blue Note 75th year series any good in your opinion? No, but luckily they're fixing that error with the 80th anniversary stuff. Does your wife just listen to Spotify on her iPhone? Be honest.
No, only in the car.
Only in the car?
Mhm.
What else? When do you else do you listen to music?
At work, because that's all I do.
Yeah, so we're at the store a lot, so she listens to it a lot. We listen to a lot of music. And to be honest, like I said, she's more of a movie buff, so when we get home, she likes to watch movies. So, do you digitize your LPs? So I digitize some stuff. And the reason being is I am a big fan of a lot of like a lot of the jazz stuff I listen to, a lot of that spiritual jazz from the 70s has never been reissued and goes for a ton of money. So, uh, yeah, there's a lot of great jazz records that I've digitized and listened to at work. I just did the Lyman Woodard organization. It's a killer record. Digitized that. Unity, a Unity record I just digitized. Yeah. Do you think Music Matters Jazz will make high quality reissues of other jazz labels? So they're going to do something. So like right when they announced that classic reissue series, they kind of put a post out like, we're not dead yet. There's more coming, but we're not announcing it until it's ready. So they've got something in their hat. What they're doing exactly, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see what's coming up. I think they're just going to do another label. I think maybe like a Riverside or a different label, prestige label stuff. I think there's something along those lines that's very possible. Is MoFi going direct to consumer for all their titles in 2021? I don't, that would suck. But I see on stuff that's super limited that they know they could sell it all themselves and keep all the money. I could see them doing that. But on a Dire Straits title, for instance, where they can sell, they can, it depends on the license. So if the license is a quantity item, so an item that has X amount of quantity and they know they can sell it all, like the super vinyl titles, I can totally see them doing everything in-house. And that's kind of what they did with the last two super vinyl titles. But on a record like Weezer Blue is the best-selling Mobile Fidelity title that they've ever done. Do you want to know where most copies of Weezer Blue are sold? Do you know where? Urban Outfitters. Urban Outfitters sold tons and tons and tons of that record. And that is, they've given it the reason that it's the most successful modern Mobile Fidelity record ever done is because Urban Outfitters. There's 50,000 copies of that maybe in print. If you look at the original black version, if you look at the numbers and you look at the numbers of the blue vinyl that they've done, they're not going to sell 50,000 copies of Weezer Blue as a direct model. So I don't see that being the case for everything. I could see it being the case on some stuff, but not on everything. So let's see. What Blue Note title do you think that needs to be in print again? Blue Train. That's the one title, that big heavy hitter that wasn't announced on this last classic series, but it will be. So getting a lot of Record Store Day stuff that was warped. So I mentioned I did a couple unboxings, and a lot of the unboxings on that third wave of titles, there was a lot of warped stuff. That's just because this stuff has been probably made for a year and sitting in a warehouse. So a lot of that stuff was probably just not stored properly or sitting for too long. And that's the reason we're seeing warpage.
What's so funny?
Somebody wants to know if we're ever going to get yappers.
Hmm?
It's stupid. All right. Music Matter should do CTI, so I don't see that happening. I've talked to Ron, the owner over there at Blue Note. I haven't, not recently, but years ago. I talked to him for many hours, and he issues what he likes musically. You'll notice that there wasn't many Jimmy Smith titles done. It's because he's not a huge, he didn't like the organ. So you'll see some of those great Jimmy Smith titles were completely passed by Ron because of that exact reason. Uh, One of the most successful, probably the most successful Blue Note artist of all time, Jimmy Smith, right? You would think they would have did some of those titles, but they did. I don't know if CTI would be his bag. I can't see them doing that. Let's see. Do you collect Blu-rays? No, I've got some Vinegar Syndrome Blu-rays. They kind of specialize in off-the-cuff stuff. I've got some of their blaxploitation films. The last one I bought was the Disco Godfather, which actually had the soundtrack on it as well, which I also have on vinyl. But yeah, I got a few things. Let's see. What was the best jazz album of the 80s? God, that is such a hard question because so very little stuff was. Probably that.
What's that?
It's a movie channel.
Oh.
She doesn't like old movies.
It's an older movie channel?
Yeah, I think it's older movie stuff.
Mm.
Probably the one night at Blue Note, that Blue Note reunion concert series box set they did. That was probably the best thing I think that came out in the 80s. Do we think we'll see any Marilyn Manson reissues? Yes, we're going to see reissues of absolutely everything. When there is money to be made, manufacturers will take the opportunity to cash in. The reason these guys are rock stars was for notoriety and fame and money. So it's coming. People said for years, what's going on with Tom Petty Wildflowers? We got Tom Petty Wildflowers now for days. We've got 7 LP box sets, 9 LP box sets, 3 LP analog box sets, Super Ultimate Deluxe box sets that were website only exclusives. Every imaginable version you could possibly think of came out. All the vault stuff. Sometimes it takes a while, but where there's a will, there's a way. So they're not going to leave all that money on the table. And sometimes it's a matter of something. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't get along, band members don't get along, then they pass away, and then it gets released. So sometimes you got to wait a long time. But what speakers have better bass, the Wilsons or the ZRTs, the XRTs? There we go. So the XRTs, the Wilsons have a. So I would say the thing about the Wilsons that's the most noticeable is how you don't notice any one particular thing. The Wilsons have a very uniform sound. So nothing really stands out from the Wilsons. The XRTs go down spec-wise, they go down pretty low. But I don't know, probably the XRTs had a lower end thump. Oh, look at that. See? So they don't just do old movies. They're the MoFi of Blu-ray. They do recent director edits of recent films as well as classic and avant-garde. Maybe that would be your thing. Do you want to collect Blu-rays?
You actually have to have them in your house?
Yeah. It's a subscription. They mail you a Blu-ray.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on what they send.
Well, I think it's a subscription. You got to get what they send you.
That'd be kind of cool to if you haven't seen something.
Where would you put these?
In our shelf that's supposed to be full of books, but it's full of Blu-rays that we already have of Disney movies.
Oh, apparently it's not a subscription. And they have a streaming channel.
What is it called? How do you spell it?
To use a test record for, it's going to be saved here. You can get it later.
I don't want to get it later. I want to get it now.
You going to watch it during the show?
No, I'm just going to get it and save it.
I have a many test records that I used for, turntable set. The Orifon test record. There's a few of them that I use. There's an Analog Productions test record I use. I've got the Fightguard azimuth adjustment tool that requires a test disc. So, yeah. You're getting excited, huh? Huh?
Shh. I'm trying to read.
Have you ever needed a stiff drink after aligning a cartridge? Many times I've had difficult cartridges that I just stop what I'm doing and I'll wait a couple hours and go back to it. It's amazing. Sometimes you put a cartridge on.
You're a liar.
What?
You sit there and you mess with it and you mess with it and you mess with it, and then you get pissed off, and then you tell me to come, and you start yelling at me because you're upset, and then you mess with it and mess with it and mess with it, and finally 6 hours later you got it figured out, and we're fighting and mad at each other, and I go to bed mad.
This is nonsense. Give me that Dr. Pepper.
It's empty.
What was in that Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper.
And what else?
Dr. Pepper.
What was in the other one?
Dr. Pepper.
And what else?
Shh. Come on, we got people waiting for us.
What else was in that Dr. Pepper?
Raspberry vodka. Shut up. No.
So, no, I owned a chain of mattress stores before this. Sometimes I don't involve you in, especially for cartridge alignments. When do I involve you for cartridge alignments?
I don't know. For some odd reason, I have to hold a little towel for you just to get, for example, something so stupid. Here, hold this box while I do this. And I'm just standing there holding the freaking box for 45 minutes, and you're getting mad at me because you can't do it.
This is nonsense.
It's 100% the truth.
This is nonsense.
100% the truth. I have to be involved with all your stupid junk that you do.
Well, because you're kind of like my security blanket. You're like my
Yes, I know. I'm your security blanket that has to hold a freaking box.
What box?
Or hold a cord. Some dumb crap that it's just so.
I like to involve you in the stuff that I care about.
Yes, I know.
You don't like the involvement?
No.
Why not?
Because I just stand there and do nothing.
What about the time when we were setting these Wilsons up? You sat here and listened to the same records how many times with me?
Yes, you forced me.
But you enjoyed it.
No, I did not.
You helped me.
Because you told me I had no choice.
But you were very helpful.
Okay, Mike.
I needed a second set of ears. Do you not feel that you helped me?
Yeah. We do go to marriage counselor.
Oh, yeah, we go to a marriage counselor. And it's actually on a live stream, too, because you can't go anywhere because of COVID.
And I do need a vacation.
Yes. So wait a minute. Let's talk about this. You had a good time helping me out.
No, I did not. I hate every single time you buy something new. I hate it. That's why I'm mad at you for days, because I know I'm going to have to be involved with it, and I absolutely hate it.
So you just don't want to have any participation in it whatsoever?
Correct.
Well, you got to help me out. You're like the little angel on my right. Get it? Pun intended. Who sits on my shoulder and tells me to make the right choice.
You make whatever choice you want. You don't listen to me. I told you your Macs were good. Or what did you spend all that stupid money on those stupid things that are ugly?
These are good. Beautiful speakers.
They sound good, but they're ugly.
No.
And these ugly things that don't match anything in our house because they're gray, not black.
Yeah. They're fun to look at.
No, they're not. They're
yes,
ugly.
They are.
Get back to your crap.
You should stop drinking while we do live streams. Yeah, she does not need another Dr. Pepper. She is cut off from Dr. Peppers. Women do not care about stereo crap. This is true. I tried to get. It's funny because she says to me, Mike, you never teach me about this stuff. She doesn't want to know squat about this stuff. She just wants to bitch about when I don't teach her about
That's not true. I want to know about it. I just don't want to sit there and hold a box while you're frustrated because you can't do something.
You were very instrumental in helping me decide the system that we currently have.
Okay, but
what did you learn?
Oh, okay. So I remember why I was mad about that because my family was coming over and I had just barely gotten out of the shower and I was like in a towel or something like that and you wouldn't even let me get dressed. I had to come down here like right this minute and listen to your freaking speakers when my family was coming like 30 minutes later.
I just hooked them up. I know your family. You've seen them before.
Doesn't matter. I don't want to see them in a towel.
That's true. Well.
Can we change the subject? Answer a question. I'm going to eat my popcorn.
We were answering a question. Yes. All right.
Yes, more Dr. Pepper.
See, he says you should get me involved in your stuff.
You don't care about anything I do.
We watch movies together.
Yes, movies you choose.
That's not true.
So how
you got any more Dr. Pepper left over there? How many cans of Dr. Pepper did you drink today?
Two.
Boy. All right, let's find some questions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. You can rent out an AMC movie theater now for $100.
I wish Mike would drink a Dr. Pepper.
It's actually funny. So Chris says, what was our first date? Our first real date was in 2008, and it was Election Day. So we're coming up on an anniversary here. It was 2008. Yeah, we went.
Gallagher's.
We went to a sports pub here in town, and yeah, it was that Election Day 2008. So yeah. Let's see.
I like crafting. That's my interest.
She likes to do crafts. I'm not doing any crafts.
I like coloring.
I'm not coloring.
I like bedazzling stuff.
I'm not going to bedazzle anything.
I like makeup and hair.
Could bedazzle the Wilsons.
I like decorating the house.
So, yeah, don't listen to what Eric says. We're not bedazzling the Wilsons. So do you use a lot of sound treatment in the listening room? Yeah, so if you look at that video, you'll actually see I've got a lot of acoustic stuff in the room. So you'll see that's a requirement. Every single room needs to be treated. There is absolutely no reason to spend a ton of money on audio equipment and put it in a room that's not treated. Every room is different. Every room requires treatment. It's not expensive. The acoustic panels were $50-$60. And through a little trial and error, moving things around, it made a huge difference. So definitely treat through them. So I had a friend of mine who had a little condo in Tempe. He asked me specifically, like, what would be a good system here? And I picked him, he told me his budget. He got a pair of Sonos Faber speakers, a Mac 275 tube amp. I got him a turntable. He loved the system. Worked perfect for him. But he'd come over to my house and he would hear my system. So what does he do? He goes out and he buys my system. He buys the XRT 1Ks. He buys the big amps. But he has them in this like little 1,000 square foot, 1,200 square foot condo in a high-rise building with tile everywhere and glass windows everywhere. And it was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to work in this room. So what does he do? He has this for a couple of years. After about 6 months, he just stops listening to music, focuses on other stuff, got tired with it, and puts everything away. year and a half, 2 years go by, he goes back and buys the exact same system he has. Now he listens to music and everything. So, I mean, systems are very dependent on the rooms they're in. Properly treating a room and putting a system in a room that can accommodate it is very important.
Who is this person? I like that. I like this person.
Oh my God. Who is this person? Yeah, there's no more vacation. Tell him, Chris. There's no more vacation.
Yeah, there
2020.
is.
It's COVID. You can't go nowhere. COVID's on the upswing. It's on the news.
There are vacations.
Well,
There are
you
people
can't go nowhere.
vacationing here.
I don't know about that.
Mm.
Let's see. Was it worth upgrading to the Ortofon MC Quintet Black as to the credenza? You know, it depends on the turntable. Yeah. But I would go to like maybe the Quintet Bronze. I am not going to go on a staycation.
I've always wanted one.
She's tried to get me to go on a staycation, but why would I go somewhere else, especially in the same town? I've got a beautiful house. I got all my crap in it. What the hell do I want to go?
Let me go by myself with the kids. And you can have your beautiful house and all your crap.
But no, it wouldn't be the same if you weren't here with me, honey.
Mm.
Right? Any recommendations for the best cartridge for a Marantz 6300? COVID sucks, I tell you. Yeah, COVID is wearing absolutely super thin. Reality is kind of like what you do on a day-to-day basis. It's like, nowadays is becoming like the new reality, and it's becoming horrible. Quick question on memory. Xbox. I know because my son is often grounded from it. Now that I think about it, Angel always says, no more Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nagaoka MP150. So I've got one of my employees. I sold him that 150 cartridge, and he says it's absolutely fantastic. I listened to it quickly when I was demoing some gear. I don't have a lot to say on it because I didn't spend a lot of time with it. Yeah, so the Chet Baker stuff, I've heard all of it. The Chet Baker stuff came out in the box set about a year ago. They did a box set. It's a Riverside box. It was 4 albums and 5 albums. There's a bonus disc in it. And essentially this new reissue stuff is the stuff that was in that box set that is now out of print and goes for a couple $100. So, yeah. Let's see. So the kind of blue, I mean, you want the mobile fidelity version. It's going to come back in print, hopefully as a standard version and not just a super vinyl variant. But yeah, that would be the one to get. I listened to, actually, what did I listen to today? So yeah, anticipation of the new Bernie Grundman version. I was actually listening to the classic records 45 RPM. That was actually the second to last record that I listened to. And it's really good. I've got the 45 RPM version of this. The UHQR, they're doing 2 different versions of this. They're doing the 45 RPM version of it, and they're doing the classic 33 RPM. But yeah, I have that on the table. That was one of the last records, second to last I listened to. And the very last record I listened to was the Grant Green Sunday Morning that I was talking about. That is now sold out. That was done by Slow Down Sound. They did 3,500 of them, and it is now out of print. But this is an absolute fantastic record. I spoke to the owner of this label, Slow Down Sounds. We had a little bit of a telephone conversation, and it was actually kind of interesting. He told me one of the things that he did that was unique about this record is he sat there with Kevin Gray. He cut the record, and he literally had a buddy over at RTI, and he went from Kevin Gray's studio, took that lacquer, and it was plated within 45 minutes. So kind of unique in that sense, but it is a really killer sounding record. Last record I listened to. So This guy. So that Grant Green, yeah, that's a hell of a title. Let's see. So I'm going to expand that new arrival video because we're starting to get some we're starting to get some restocks on some titles. Like I said, LA Woman's coming in. So I'm going to update that video. So I did the top best R&B. I did the top 10 jazz. I did the top 10 rock. I'm thinking real soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do like a top 50 video because I'm trying to focus on imprint stuff. And then I'm going to branch, and my goal is to get up to like 100 and try to keep that a revolving list. But it's so hard because I don't want to recommend a bunch of titles that you guys can't buy. So do you have any really grouchy customer stories?
I don't think we really do. The only thing I can remember is the guy didn't want to take off his backpack and put it behind the counter, and then that guy who came in for the second register day and said, "What a waste."
Every record store day, people get pissed off because
nobody really grouchy.
People that are new to record store day think like they go on the line and they see,
that lady with the Mariah Carey record. But she wasn't really grouchy. She was just sad.
So every record store day, people think that they see a New York Times article like, the special edition Skid Row record will be available for record store day at local independent record stores. So they stroll out of bed at 2:00 in the afternoon, and they come in and like, "Hey, I want this record," and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that sold out 4 minutes after we ordered. Opened." People don't get that. They get really, really butthurt. So that's a problem. I would say as a store, I don't have very many problems. I'm pretty flexible with people. My return policy is really easy. I take stuff back. I mean, I get customers that buy stuff online and there's like 4 clicks on the record, so they send it back. Whatever. I'm an audiophile. I'm a little bit eccentric. I'm used to eccentric customers. So that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. The biggest problem I get from people is so many people are new to vinyl. You get so many people, like the Billie Eilish record has been like the bane of my existence. It's a record that is just loaded to the brim with bass. And the people that are buying it, a lot of them are playing them on like Crosley suitcase players. So I have a revolving door of people that are like, "Oh, you sold me a defective record." "Oh, I did. Well, let's listen to it." So 9 times out of 10, you'll grab the record and you're like, "Oh, let's just test it on my record player. I want to make sure your record player is okay." Knowing in the back of my head, like, this record is fine. But I go through the process. I put it on. I play it. "Oh, it plays fine." "Oh, what kind of record player do you have?" "Oh, a lot of times I'll be like, "Oh, I have a crappy one." There's a problem. But I sold a Mariah Carey record here recently, the Merry Christmas album. And, the hit, "All I Want for Christmas Is You," whatever the hell the name of the song is, was skipping like crazy, but she was playing it on a Crosley. And she apparently was playing it over and over and over again. And as it was skipping, it was just trashing the record because it was sliding across the, the record. And she brought it in, and even with all the scratches and the needle marks and everything, it plays. She goes, "Oh, it sounds great." But, I still want to return it. I'm like, "Well, and I kind of was explaining, I can't really take the record back. There's nothing wrong with it. If there was something wrong with it, I would take it back. But, it's not the record, it's your player." And she goes, I said, "But, keep it." I said, "If you're a record fan, you'll end up getting a nicer record player, and you'll have this record to go back to and you'll be able to listen to it." "Well, I don't see that happening," she says. "I've got no interest in ever getting a better record player." And, that was kind of, she made it difficult. She was not happy that I would take it. But I kind of told her, like, "Look, you see all these scratches and cuts," and I'm like, that wasn't on the record when you bought it. That was your turntable that caused that. So, you're keeping this record. And yeah, that was it. On a side note, guys, so I kind of wanted to talk to you guys. I should pitch the store a little bit more. If you guys are like Instagram people or Facebook, you guys should really subscribe to the store's Instagram page. I don't do much with Instagram posts, but I'm going to start. So like when a new release comes in, I do the videos on Thursday, but I'm going to start posting like throughout the week when something comes in. So you'll get kind of first cracks at stuff. So you guys should try subscribing to the Instagram page and the Facebook page. It'll be kind of a simultaneous update. So as I get stuff in, like for instance, unless I did this video today and I talk about the new Rocktober Craftwork titles, most people wouldn't know that they're coming out. But I'm going to start doing Instagram posts, so you'll get a little bit more up to the date info on when the store gets new stuff. So check out the Instagram page. Like the Instagram page. And also, if you bought stuff from us, feel free to go on like Yelp and Google and leave us happy reviews. That's always nice. Fluff the store up a little bit. We need fluffing, right?
Yeah, Chris, only dump her if she doesn't like that you drink, because then it's just going to be a problem and a fight all the time.
What?
And then we just started shopping at Trader Joe's, and the only thing that so far that I've liked is this popcorn stuff. I don't know what it's called, but it was really, at first I didn't like it because it was plain, but then after I started eating it a lot, it was really good, and I couldn't stop and ate the whole bag in like a day and a half.
What's going on?
I'm just answering the questions.
What was I talking about?
Fluffing up the store.
Fluff. Yelp. Get the fluffing. Let's see.
What's that mean?
No, the Instagram page is, I'll kind of share with you. So that's our Instagram page. The weather got hot again. It's like 90s. I think it was like 90 degrees today. So not great.
No, it was still nice though. It wasn't 90. I think it was like 79.
Today?
Mm-hmm. That's what it said in the. Oh, it wasn't.
Maybe it's all this. Maybe it's just the tubes that keep keeping me warm. These two big tube amps are quite warm. Let's see.
You know what this actually means, right?
This guy saying he's going to fluff me?
Mm-mm. Yeah, fluff.
Yeah, I know what that means.
Oh, I only learned that when I was like 24.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's good to know. You're killing me. I'm going to have to start watching what you... It's twice you've done this to me. You started pounding down vodka before these shows.
I didn't pound it down.
There's 3 empty cans over there. And I'm guessing you juiced every one of them up.
Me too.
You're killing me.
Mm-hmm.
You are killing me.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah, so the Wilsons are dialed in. So, yeah, I think we're about done with this.
With what?
This live stream.
Yeah, of course.
I'm surprised you haven't been trying to get me off. It's the booze, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's keeping you all attentive.
People are like talking to me too, so I like that.
Does Mike drink? Not really. I'll have some beer every now and then.
Mike's boring.
I'm not boring. I'm happening.
You're boring.
It depends on what you like. If you're really into records, I'm pretty hip.
But it's still boring because you sit there and everyone else just has to sit on the freaking floor. That's pretty boring.
Not to me.
Of course not.
I'm having a good time.
Good night.
Let's see. Somebody keeps talking. I have no idea what that is. Yes, I turn my equipment off at night when I go to bed, especially now that I've got these two giant tube amps. I'll kind of show you guys a minute.
Give it to me.
So I got these 2 giant tube amps that have, 15 tubes? Can you even see those in that video?
Mm-hmm.
They got 15 tubes. In there, and they keep you nice and warm. But yeah, that's a lot of heat. So yeah, we've got 12 KT88s, we've got a 12 AX7, a 12 BH7, two of them. So yeah, we're 15 tubes aside, and they keep you really, really warm. I would be a little bit paranoid that, you know, we might melt, or they catch fire, tube blows up or something. These things are pretty advanced as far as computer controlled circuitry. It shuts the amp down if it senses a problem. But, tubes aren't too cheap. It's going to cost a couple grand to retube these things. It's not something I want to prematurely have to do because I keep the gear on all the time. So I want to hear a Wilson demo. You got to go to a Wilson dealer for that because anything that I play will be A, on YouTube and sound like crap, and B,
just come over to the house. No big deal.
It's true. So I'm trying to think. So I've got some music that I could end up playing. I'm working with a buddy of mine. We're coming out with an album. We're doing an unreleased garage psychedelic record from the 60s. And that is going to be coming out at the beginning of the year. We're doing the tip-on jacket. We're doing it all analog. It's going to be an in-groove exclusive. And, we're going to be talking a little bit more about that. And I'm going to be sharing some of the tracks. But who knows? Maybe we could do like some, people often want to hear the Wilsons, even though it's on YouTube. You can kind of get an idea of the space and the sound of everything. So maybe those tracks, which my buddy owns, so we can easily do it. Maybe we can get a cool demo going as we talk a little bit more about that album in the future. What do you think?
Yeah.
What did I say?
No clue.
Okay, give me this laptop.
Wait.
What are you typing?
People are asking me questions. Here. Freaking hog.
Let's see. Yes. So international shipping, I should have it done by the end of the year. Multiple people in the store are working on it. I'm really, really, really trying hard to get it done by then. What?
Oh, just what this said.
All right, so yes, VTL amps. So we done?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So a lot of cool videos coming up this week. So like I said, I'm going to be doing a comparison video this week. I'll have that done. And I'm doing some other videos. Are you done with that popcorn yet?
Mm-mm.
You want to say bye? All right, guys. I'm going to do a video too coming up on the new system.
Wait, you said make him answer me. Who's Travis? Oh. Answer that one first before we go.
Oh, man, I hate box sets. You don't really protect them. So what I do is I disassemble the box. Like, for instance, the Beatles box. The Beatles box, I took all the records out. I put the box set on the very top of the shelf, and I put the records in the shelf. The oversized box sets, the slightly oversized stuff, like the Mobile Fidelity One Steps or the Analog Productions UHQRs, I take, because they have standard jackets inside, I take them out of the box and I store them next to it. I really try to avoid box sets for that specific reason. So, but I'll store the records themselves on the shelf, like the Kinks mono box, and then I store the box set on a shelf elsewhere. I did that with the Ozzy Osbourne box. That's how I handle it. So I did get the MFSL Desire. So
Dr. Pepper.
No, I'm not going to sell them online. They're going to be for myself. Let's see. All right, guys.
Until next time.
You do it.
Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. Peace.
Don't cuss yet.
Ah, okay.